Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the EEARSS podcast produced by Terrier TV. I'm Alligator Robb, joined here by Bill Curtis. Want to give a quick thank you to Edna Wilson with Celebrate Remax Aerospace for sponsoring our program. Edna and her team love the Space Coast and are interested in helping you with your home buying and selling needs. You can find her at ednawilson.com. Bill, how's it going?
Well, it's going well.
Yeah.
How is it with you?
I feel like we're going to break into gospel song. Everything, yes. All is well with me. Yes.
All is well.
Yes, all is well.
It is well.
It is well. All is well with my soul. No
Okay,
doubt.
so now I promised you a story. So we were talking about names before we got on the air, and reading lists of names and butchering names,
which I'm pretty well at doing on the podcast.
And
I do a fair amount.
I have done that myself. But I was reading the homecoming list, and there were two girls, and both of them I had in Terrier TV. So I knew both of them, and one was Brianna and one was Brianna.
Okay.
And so,
which look very similar.
Right. Well, and I was trying to keep that straight, in my head. For whatever reason, I said the one girl's name for both of them. The other one I didn't just mispronounce her name. I read the wrong name.
Bill, hold on one second here. Are you telling me that you're human, Bill?
Oh, no. And here's the thing, and it was Brianna Sorensen.
I remember that name.
Who is she works for ESPN now.
Yeah, I remember I know the name. Yeah.
And I think now she's doing the American Athletic Conference. She's there. She does their social media. She's their social media spokesperson.
We need to have her on here.
Oh, yeah. We
need to be chatting with her sometime.
Yeah. But anyway, she said to me afterwards down the track, she said, Mr. Curtis, you said the wrong name. But she wasn't upset. Upset. But I tell you what, that devastated me. I was like, I messed that up. That was that was a big thing. And so after that, I refused. I wouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those things,
I know, but I still felt terrible about it. I felt just awful.
He'll remember it with fond memories, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Fond memories.
Well, see, that's it. She's a very nice person, and she was, she wasn't upset about it as much as I was upset. I got more upset about it than she did. And so that, so that wasn't mispronouncing. That was just me butchering the whole thing.
Okay. Well, it happens to the best of us, buddy.
It does indeed.
It happens to the best of us. There's been at least one guest on here we've had over the last year and a half where I purposely didn't say their name. I said their title and never said their name just because I knew I was going to butcher it. I'm like, if I dare to say this name, it's going to be bad. It's going to be not even close to being what it's supposed to be.
And I remember you asking him. You asked him
to pronounce it, and I still didn't try it. Yeah, I was still gun shy. Like, don't want any part of it. Just not going to go there.
Not going to do it.
I remember last second I thought about it, and I was like, no, I'm just going to wash my hands of it and just introduce him for the title he has and move on.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. All right, you ready to chat with our guest today?
Yes, let's do it.
So today on the phone, we are joined by Shamus Toomey with Block Club Chicago. How's it going, sir? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And you pronounced my name perfectly.
Man, there's a first time for everything, Bob.
Good.
Yeah.
So Bob Smith, how you doing?
I'll tell you a quick story about butchering names. I had a substitute teacher in high school called me Shamus Toomey, and to this day, my buddies still call me Moose. And
oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
I'm not a big guy, really. So the fact that I'm like, why does everyone call you Moose? And it's like,
that's a riot.
Yeah, it was a substitute, and it stuck.
Oh, it's amazing how things like that stick.
That's funny stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
So I was going back, and thinking about all this, and me and you have had this discussion a little bit here and there before, but I met you and some people from your organization almost 4 years ago now in Chicago, when there was this little gator up there in Chicago called Chance the Snapper. And I know it's crazy that...
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So what organization is this? What organization is he with?
Oh, I said Block Club Chicago.
I know, but what is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was going to get there.
I know you were.
So yeah, you work for this organization called Block Club Chicago. There was this little gator in Chicago called Chance the Snapper. And you guys were you guys were a year in at that point, right? Or were you only a few months in?
We were a year in at that point, yes.
Okay. And this story really kicked you guys to the next level, am I correct?
100%. It elevated us. So we made our bones that week.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about what Block Club Chicago is. I know you're a co-founder of the organization, so you can kind of tell us what your vision was in creating Block Club, and tell us how how you've molded that to where it is now.
Absolutely. Well, Block Club Chicago, we're a newsroom. We're an online only website that just does local news in Chicago. Could be anything from openings and closings of restaurants and bars. It could be, it could be crime. It could be politics. And every once in a while, you get lucky with an animal story that really unites the city. And that's exactly what the Chance the Snapper story was. Just to recap your audience that may not have remembered it, but we were sitting in the newsroom one day, and an email comes in and says, "You're not going to believe this, but I think I saw a crocodile in the Humboldt Park Lagoon, which is an inland lagoon, and down there in Florida, it's not that big of a deal. You see it all the time. But in Chicago, this blew people's mind that perhaps there was a wild beast in this inland lagoon. So I always hope for stories like this to be true. So I saw the email and I called the guy and I said, "You got to give me a call." And he said, "Yeah, I'm a subscriber to Block Club. And I swear I just saw this. It's nose stuck up. It's either a crocodile or an alligator. And I think I've got a picture of it somewhere." So anyway, we send our reporter out there, and please be true. And Mina Bloom was the first one out there. She got a picture of it from a park district person that was working there. And we went with the story. First, we hedged it. Is there an alligator in the Humboldt Park Lagoon? We're Googling to see what's the difference between alligator and crocodile.
I didn't know any of this part of the story. This is great.
Yeah. And sure enough, the real big break was someone was taking their, I believe it was their graduation or their quinceañera photos out on the lagoon lake. So they had a real photographer out there with a long lens and got just a beautiful shot. And without a lot of context to it. So to me, it looked like about a 15-foot gator floating around there. It was a little terrifying. So Chicago was up in arms for a week as another guy was trying to catch it. And there was, people would line the edges of the lagoon. There was picnics. There was a mariachi band. There was vendors. People were selling hot dogs. It was a great thing. It united the city during a sort of a rough summer. And then finally, the volunteer who was doing it, it was sort of embarrassing the mayor a little bit that she couldn't find anyone to catch it. And if I remember the story correctly, Frank, you had either called them and volunteered, or they called you. And I remember there was a little bit of, if I come up there, I can catch this thing in a day. And darned if you didn't catch that thing in a day. And we had run an online naming contest for it on Twitter. And there's a handful of names chosen, but Chance the Snapper won by an overwhelming majority. So we named him Chance the Snapper in honor of Chance the Rapper, and it turned out to be a lot smaller of an alligator than Chicago feared, but he became such almost a mascot to the city, and Frank brought him down to Florida, and he's thriving. And we try to check in on him all the time.
He surely is. Yeah, that was always a misconception. I had people that always tell me, like, "So man, how did you reach out to the city of Chicago?" Like, I didn't reach out to the city of Chicago. They reached out to me. I never called anybody. I watched the whole thing from, I was watching little pieces and parts of it in the news, kind of going, what in the world is happening in Chicago? Like, what in the world is happening up there? And then, got a call one morning. Yeah, I sure never called them, but it's funny how one story like that can be a blessing to so many people. We had Kelly Gandersky on here a few weeks ago talking about how it's, changed her whole world too. How everything's changed for her, and now she's a partner at a law firm, and there's just so many things that have just it's done so much for so many. And that story, brought a lot of PR to your organization, and what you guys are doing, and kind of was, like you're saying, the kick in the butt to put you guys to the next level, right?
Absolutely. We had started off pretty strong. We had been an online news organization before Block Club started, but it was owned by a single person. And when he lost interest in it and plenty of money, he shut us down. One day, he just said, "It's over." About 40 people were out of jobs, and really within a couple of days, we decided, hey, we still have this great audience in Chicago that loves our stories. Why don't we try to figure out how to do this ourselves? So the first guy kind of showed us the ropes, helped us build an audience, and then we pushed us out of the nest, and we started it ourselves. We made it a nonprofit this time. We get people to subscribe for $59 a year to help pay the reporters, and we got going. And we started with Kickstarter, and 3,000 people gave us $183,000, and we've been off and running since. But there was such widespread attention to the alligator story. It was a national story. Everyone was quoting us because we broke it. So it really opened up some eyes that, hey, these guys are out there. I'm going to check them out. So it's been great. We have been around now for 5 years. In June, we're going to have a little party in June. Frank, you're invited. We're just we're proud of the ability to be able to tell stories in all parts of Chicago, not just the north side, not just the west side, not the south side. We really try to be in every neighborhood and tell little stories and big stories that aren't being told by the legacy papers and TV and all that. And it's really gratifying because people often can't get this news anywhere else, and they get to see themselves reflected in the coverage, and it makes us feel pretty good.
So there's a couple different things you guys have going on. One, being a nonprofit, and two, doing all this online, which I know a lot of different papers and news organizations are going that way. But it's not that Block Club's a one-off that's maybe the only one doing that, but you can't be one of many doing it that way. What have been some of the big learning curves on this journey you guys have been through over the last 5 years?
Yeah, it's one thing is you're really only as good as the last day's work. In news organizations, you really just got to put in the time. You can't just count on people to come and check you out. You really gotta provide a steady stream of new information, of interesting information, of scoops, of things that reflect everyone in the city. There's such a big audience out there if you take the time to learn people and have them tell us their stories. So that's been something big for us, is to really make sure that that we reflect Chicago, that we have people who are from the neighborhoods that they're writing about, that really know what they're talking about, because Chicagoans kind of can see through people that that don't know what they're talking about. So we're always very careful to be as authentic as possible. And I'll tell you, there really is a wave of these nonprofit newsrooms around the world, actually, certainly in the United States, where legacy newspapers are getting all gobbled up by a couple chains. They're shutting them down. They're having one reporter cover 500 square miles, which is impossible. And so these places are
no kidding.
These places are just popping up, and not trying to conquer the world, but they're trying to conquer their county or their little town. And I think it's great. It's how it started. We're just going back to our roots of putting a reporter on the street, going to meetings, talking to people, and covering the news.
So you were saying that you do things that people can't get elsewhere. What would be an example of that? What's something that you've covered, or something that you've done that you guys are the only place where you're going to find that?
Well, I mean, we like to, there's a million examples. We like to go to neighborhood meetings where they're proposing a new development, or they're building something small. And, the TV stations in Chicago, they need to cover not just the city, they got to cover the suburbs. They got to cover the lower half of Wisconsin. They got to cover Northwest Indiana. they got a lot of ground to cover. So maybe they can't focus on one little thing in Chicago, but we can focus on that and if we find it interesting. Like, for example, we did a story once where some neighbors in a really wealthy neighborhood of Chicago, the Gold Coast, they had signed a petition because they're upset at the quality of the gelato flavors at the gelato stand on the corner. And it was just such a petty issue. And these are the things that they go online and everyone jumps all over it. Like, I can't believe you guys are fighting over this first world problem, with the other people were like, well,
gelato is important.
Yeah, I need this particular flavor. So it was sort of little things like that could be maybe they're only one neighborhood, but they can resonate throughout the city, throughout the country. So we look for fun things like that whenever possible. There's plenty of serious news in Chicago, and we cover that too, but we really make a point to say that's not all that we're going to cover. It can't all be crime and politics. You got to give a little bit of flavor of living in a big city where there's a lot of things happening, some good, some bad, some weird. We try to cover all that stuff, especially the weird.
How often do you find yourself on that side of the microphone being questioned?
I do it every once in a while where we've got such great stories that sometimes local radio stations, TV stations, they like to either do our stories, have us on talking about the stories. So I'm lucky enough. I'm on WGN radio a couple days a week on the morning show, just trying to pick a couple good stories that I think people around the Chicago area may get a kick out of in the morning.
That does make a lot of sense. So Block Club has made this giant evolution and change over the last 5 years to the organization you're at now, which is incredible. You're covering all these stories you're talking about, doing all these things. Where do you see it going the next 5 years? What are the goals? What are the hurdles you want to get past?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a few parts of the city that we don't have a full-time reporter in. Usually the corners of the city. We started off sort of in the central part, knowing that eventually we wanted to hit all parts. So that is always my immediate goal, is to hire more reporters to cover more neighborhoods, and maybe even shrink some of the existing beats of the existing reporters, so they can focus a little bit more on all of the news and not have to pick and choose between stories. So goal number one, fill out the map of Chicago and really make sure that we're hitting all parts. We also are building an investigative team as well, which is going to be very important, as part of the mosaic of local news. It's politics, it's crime, it's restaurant openings, it's all that, but it's also having some reporters really digging into some of the systemic problems and things that are happening in Chicago that makes Chicago who it is, for better or worse. So we've hired a couple editors, and we've got some job openings for reporters. If anyone's listening to this and you want to be an investigative reporter in the great city of Chicago, check out blockclubchicago.org, our job listings. We're going to build up a heck of an investigative team and really start looking into some of the problems on particularly the south and the west sides that have been really sort of underserved, disinvested for decades and decades.
Man, that's an incredible opportunity for somebody that wants to jump right into it.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It's, it's one of the things that why journalists become journalists. Some of them do it because they want to right wrongs and tell stories about what's really happening. So we're proud to be able to build that team up. Our existing reporters do that work as well, but they blend it in with some of their other day-to-day coverage, gelato news, alligators, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I told you thank you. After all that stuff in Chicago with the alligator happened, my health concerns when they came up, you guys were a huge support to me, and you've been a huge support to me the entire time. With anything I had going on where I was looking for fundraising or whatever it might have been for my heart surgery, you guys were always at the forefront of that. And if I haven't said thank you a bunch for always supporting me and things we've been up to. And I know you've helped us with advertisement for for years when we've done stuff up there in Chicago, and yeah, I just I want to make sure you know how appreciative I am of you and your organization and all you've done, not just for me but for so many.
Well, that's kind of you to say. We, Chicago really embraced you and Chance. It was such a great story, and you're such a great guy. It's easy. It's nice to be nice to the nice, as my dad likes to say.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, so we gave you some homework. Let's jump into homework time.
Oh boy. Okay. Trivia time.
So do you have a topic? I think we talked about this for a quick second. Do you have a topic, or what are we doing?
I am literally all over the place.
Okay.
There's no rhyme or reason to this one. I wish I could have come up with a quality topic here.
Oh, it's hilarious. No, potluck's a topic. You know what I mean?
Potluck, yeah. I just started going down a rabbit hole and couldn't pull myself out.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I don't know much about rabbit holes, so I guess we're gonna find out, Bill, if you do.
There we go. We'll see.
All right. Who was the tallest man in the world, in the history of the world, at least in the record books?
I've seen this guy at the Guinness. What is it? Ripley's Believe It or Not. They have him there, but I don't know I don't remember what his name was. Do you?
No, no.
Remember they have a wax figure of the guy there.
Right. Yeah.
Which is in St. Augustine, right? That's the nearest one.
I think so. Yes. St. Augustine. Yeah.
It's literally right down the street from where Chance is at.
Okay.
I mean, it's walking distance from where Chance is at to Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Okay.
And I've seen that guy there, but I cannot think of what his name is.
His name was Robert Wadlow, and I bring him up because he's also an Illinois resident like me. He grew to be 8 feet 11 inches tall. Just a giant of a man. A tragedy, as a lot of these stories are. He died at 22, but had really grew to just the photos of him are just hard to fathom. Standing next to average sized people. But yes, he was a proud Alton, Illinois resident and the tallest man in the history of at least the recorded world.
Wow,
that's it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
8'11".
8'11". Oh
how would you enter a room?
You'd have to pretty much get on your knees.
Well, you figure
carefully.
8-foot ceilings maybe in a normal house.
Yeah, he couldn't have been comfortable anywhere he was at.
No,
and that's right, and that's always the sort of the tragedy of these as well, is that there's nothing fits you, and you're not comfortable anywhere.
No, you'd have to walk everywhere outside because you couldn't get in any car.
Well, how would you get shoes? I mean, I remember when Shaq first came to play for the Magic, they were talking about his shoes.
Yeah, 22s.
22s, yeah.
You'd have to have everything custom made.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, good question.
Yeah, that was.
All right. This is sort of sticking on the tall theme. Chicago was lucky to have the tallest building in the world for many, many years. As a kid, I was very proud to be from Chicago with the Sears Tower. It has been surpassed a few times for height. Can you guess? I'll give you a range. What number tallest building in the world is the Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower? What is it now? It was first for almost a generation. What is it? Is it in the top 10? Is it between 11 and 20, 20 and 30, or 30 and 40?
I want to say when I came up there first in 2019, at that point, it was still in the top 10, but I believe now it's somewhere between 11 and 20. I believe.
I'd say it's between 20 and 30 because they've been building a lot of them. China's been building a lot of them. They've been a lot in the Middle East.
Yep.
I bet you it's between 20 and 30.
Okay, I'm gonna say 11 and 20.
Okay.
We're gonna go with Bill as the winner here. It is number 26 right now, which is just blows my mind.
That happened quick too, didn't it?
It happened quick, and you're absolutely right. It's China's really driving it. A lot of the ones that have jumped in front of the Sears Tower are around China. They don't have the tallest, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai.
Yeah, I knew Dubai had a monster.
Yeah, and
that's the big boat-shaped one.
It looks like a needle to me. It gets really tall and thin.
It was in Mission Impossible, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Tom
exactly.
Cruise was out on the outside.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's held the title for a while. It's been since 2010. It is 163 floors, and it is almost twice as high as the Willis Tower, the Sears Tower.
Wow.
So I've been up there a couple of times, and that's enough. You know what I mean? That's plenty.
Don't they have like a glass ledge up there?
Yeah, you can walk
out on?
Indeed. I've done it a couple of times.
No way, man.
I've done it a couple of times. Heights are one of the few things that, I'm not scared of them, but they mess with me. You know what I mean? I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable around them, but I walked out on it a couple of times. And,
Did you?
and
Okay.
it's an experience. It's totally worth doing.
Yep, it's terrifying.
It is. It is.
I am not great with heights either, but I had to do it, and it's really tough. It messes with you. You know, there's no way to really accidentally fall out of there, but your mind can put you there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no way to really do it, but it's still possible. Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's enough of a possibility that my brain doesn't want to do it.
Look, we found something that Frank gives him pause. That's
it does give me pause. It does, and for sure.
I find that fascinating.
Oh Lord.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the movie world here. Who has the most Academy Awards for Best Actress?
We just went over this recently. We had this, me and Bill had this in trivia at the Women's Center event.
Oh, was it?
This was one of the questions at the Women's Center event, and we all went back and forth on it. And it was the one we didn't choose.
Oh, yes.
It was the one we didn't choose, which I still don't know who it was, but I remember it was the one we did not choose.
Oh, yes.
We went back and forth on this, and it was like maybe it was the third option we didn't choose.
It was older Hollywood.
It was older Hollywood.
Older Hollywood than we were thinking of.
Yes, it was something. It was 30s, 40s.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. Because I was thinking like Meryl Streep or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Yep. Yeah, you're right. It was.
She was like third or something, or she had the most runners-up or something along those lines, or she was in there somewhere, but it was not her. Oh man, it's gonna drive me nuts.
I'll tell you who it's not. But I was surprised to see how many she's really racked up in recent years. Frances McDormand has 3.
Okay.
Which is pretty amazing. But I've seen a couple of her movies recently, and boy, she is good. I could see how she's going to go past this person who is sitting in first place at 4.
I don't know. I know. I know as soon as I hear it, I'm going to know it. But what do you think, Bill?
I can't remember.
I remember we wrote this down and we all went, man, that's the one we said it wasn't, and it was. Okay, tell us.
Katharine Hepburn has 4.
Dag nabbit, we knew this, Bill. Yep. We 100% knew this. Yep. Dag nabbit.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. You think about it. But first one was Morning Glory back in 1934, so you were on the right track. Then it was 34 years until she won for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in '68. And then won the next year, The Lion in Winter, and then On Golden Pond in 1982.
On Golden Pond.
Wow.
Yeah, so really almost 50 years between Best Actress Oscars. So a legend. And I promise you that the third time you get this question, you're gonna remember.
We better remember it next time. Yeah, because I 100%.
Well, at least you remembered that we had the question.
Oh, I remember because it was one of the handful we butchered.
I didn't even remember that we had the question.
It was one of the ones we went back and forth on so many times.
I know
to figure it out.
We did go back and forth. Yeah.
Yep. Oh Lord. Okay.
All right. Let me go to music. I don't know.
We're not good, but we're good for the next question.
I don't know if I don't know your guys' tastes in music, but I'm a fan of the Grateful Dead, and I was wondering if you knew what was the original name of the Grateful Dead before they switched it.
I have no clue.
Me either. I do not know.
I know nothing about the Grateful Dead.
I know that. Okay, I got this great story. In 2006, my son graduated from high school, and so I took him across country. And at the time, my hair was growing. I looked like Frank does now. Okay, and we had my son and I had gone out to Santa Monica. We were at the Santa Monica Pier, and we're going up onto the pier, and there's this homeless guy sitting there at the bottom of the pier when we walk up. And he takes one look at me and he goes, Jerry frickin' Garcia. And then he says, do you got $1 for a beer? And my son goes, well, since you said it was for a beer, yeah, I'll give you $1. If you said it was for something else, I know you were lying. But since you said it was for a beer, here you go.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, at that time, I'll show you a picture. I look like Jerry Garcia.
Jerry Garcia. That's funny. No, okay, so we have no idea what this answer is, by the way.
Maybe that's why I was thinking. Maybe that's what made me think about it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what took you down that track.
Exactly. The Grateful Dead were briefly called themselves the Warlocks. In 1965, it lasted 7 months. Changed their name, and they've been the Grateful Dead now for the last 174 years.
Yeah, there you go.
The Warlocks. Yeah, didn't know that one.
Warlocks.
Okay.
Yep.
Did not
Warlocks.
know that one. Interesting.
So, all right, we need one more. I've got I'll let you choose your category. Would you like a football one or a bizarre one?
I would say football. What do you say, Bill?
Go ahead. Let's do football. I know Frank wants football.
Yeah, I have a better
right.
chance of getting something right in football world.
Tell me the last Heisman Trophy winner from the state of Florida.
Was it Tebow?
Yeah, that would be.
I think it's Tim Tebow.
I would have guessed Tim Tebow, too. I made my son
Oh, it's
guess
somebody
this.
else. It's
Yes.
somebody else. Who's won it since...
Who's been since Tebow?
Yeah, who's been since Tebow that would be from Florida? Oh, man, this is bad.
Uh-oh. Did he not play for a Florida team? Was he just from Florida?
Nope, he played for a Florida team. Yeah,
Okay.
I thought that would be cruel to make it, because I didn't want to research all the history of every single
no.
winner, where they were from.
Okay.
Can you tell us?
jump
Can you
around.
tell us what team it was? What Florida team?
Yes, he was a Florida State Seminole.
Jameis Winston.
Jameis
No.
Winston in 2013.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Jameis was after. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played for
Yep.
my team, the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
I mean, I
played for the
should have
Buccaneers,
100% known that. I feel weak not knowing that, Bill.
Hey, I graduated from Florida State and I didn't do it. So
He was one of those guys, there was a whole run of great quarterbacks, that were winning the Heisman. And he had a decent, not a great NFL career, but I had a heck of a college career.
Yep.
In interception world, he had a very good.
Okay,
very
now-
good run.
Now, quickly, while Frank's not paying attention, tell us the bizarre one.
Yes, let's hear the bizarre one.
What is the record for a person that could hold their breath for the longest? Was it the time?
The
Was
time.
it under 10 minutes, under 20 minutes, under 30 minutes, under 40 minutes?
Good Lord, it has to be under 10.
I don't know. Some of those
Man,
divers.
You lose freaking your brain dead.
I don't.
Your brain dead.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we'll go with you. Okay.
Medical terminology. I'm breaking
Under
a
10.
biomedical degree, and I say under 10 minutes. It has
Okay.
to be.
That's what Dr. Frank says.
Yeah, Dr. Frank says.
24 minutes and 37 seconds.
Wow.
What?
The guy
A
must
guy by
be
the
like,
name of
He must have the
Budimir
biggest barrel chest in the world.
or meditation, slowing your metabolism down.
He's part crocodile.
Could be.
Exactly. That was sort of where I was going with this one. Yes, he's a Croatian guy. Did it, had people on hand to record it, and just completely bizarre. You almost practically go into hibernation a little bit at that point. I don't know how you do it.
You'd have to have like subliminal control over your heart rate and your O2 rate, and which crocodilians can do. I've never heard about a person being able to actually pull that off. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
Because otherwise, you'd think, logically speaking, you'd go, that guy is losing tons of brain cells every time he does that. But obviously he did it. He must have been practicing it for quite a while to get to that point.
Yeah, to get to that point, yeah.
That's crazy talk. Okay,
Well,
that's my mind is melted.
Maybe you guys can meet up. You might be of some help. At a really deep pond.
Yeah, that's the TV. That ain't the real stuff. Yeah, nobody's holding their breath and going in a pond after crocodiles or alligators. It's not.
No.
That's not the real world. That's for TV.
You won't make 24 minutes, huh?
No, you don't even bother trying for 5 seconds. Not if you want to keep all your digits. Oh Lord, Shamus, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you being on here with us. And if people want to find out more about Block Club Chicago, where can they go?
blockclubchicago.org. or blockclubchicago.com as well. Either one, we'll take you either way. Yep, we're putting out news every single day, breaking news, doing political coverage. We're doing a little bit of everything. We're really just trying to make sure that the entire city of Chicago is fairly covered from all angles. So thank you so much for having me on. This has been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, buddy. I'm looking forward to seeing you in June. And yeah, congratulations on everything you guys have accomplished. And again, thank you so much for the blessing you and your organization and the people that work for you guys have been to me over the past handful of years. And yeah, I looking forward to it continuing, buddy. I just appreciate you a bunch.
Well, I can say the same right back at you. You've been great and accessible to us, and you're still my favorite story we've ever covered. So I'm glad that there's a great guy as the hero of the story.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you soon, buddy.
Thanks to both of you. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right.
Yes,
Bye.
sir.
All right, guys. That's another podcast in the book, Bill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shamus is a great man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great man. He is a natural speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Natural speaker and a great guy. The great organization that does, again, they do so much, man. That's what's so cool about them when I enjoyed early on learning more about the group was how many of the small stories that nobody else is covering, they're going out there and getting and making them real stories.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They're kind of almost what we do podcast-wise by letting people's voices be heard. They're doing that with media stories.
Uh-huh.
So it's really neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really neat. That's be great if there was more of that going on with the big media groups.
Yeah, well, the corporate media is never going to do that. That's something it's gonna be the mom and pops.
Yep, it's gonna have to be without a doubt. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning into the EEARSS podcast. You can find us on any platform you find podcasts by searching EEARSS or EEARSS. We'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye.